All right, looks like we're on. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English. This is going to be a video and a lesson on how to see your topic from multiple perspectives. Now, by the end of class, our goal is to look at your topic and brainstorm some questions about your topic from an economic, social, and political point of view. Now, we talked about this last class, but again, every story has more than one side. And so before you begin researching, you want to do a good job of brainstorming ideas and questions. So when you actually begin Googling and researching, you know exactly what you want to learn more about. Now I'm gonna go down right now. This is the exact same thing that is on your handout. And I'm gonna walk you through my own project and show you how I can use these perspectives to brainstorm some ideas about my topic and my question. So my topic is domestic abuse in the Korean American community. In case you're wondering, yes, I will be doing a project with all of you over the next couple of months. And my question is, what factors impact Korean American domestic abuse survivors' ability to seek help? Now, I'm going to show you right now how I can use these points of view to get some more ideas about what I want to learn about this question. So let's begin with, I think, economic. Um, again, an economic point of view is, I think, about the economy. So about things like money, jobs, resources, markets, and so on. If I'm looking at this topic, I think from an economic point of view, I might want to look at these questions. So I could ask, how does I think my topic abuse connect to the economy? How does money relate to abuse? What jobs or resources relate to, I think, abuse? So first of all, I can think of a really obvious connection, which is if people have, I think, more or less money, that could give them more power to escape or to leave a abusive situation. So I can ask, does I think like money make it easier or harder to, I think, leave an abusive situation? Um, so that's one aspect of it that's really personal. Um, I think another thing I'm thinking about is actually if you think about, I think like hospitals and abuse shelters for people I think who get kicked out of their housing, um, and emergency services, how much money is going towards those things. So I can also ask how much money does Los Angeles provide for, I think, like abuse related services? And some of you might see that as, I think, being political because it is the government. For me, I would argue that I'm a lot more interested in, I think, like just the role money plays and all of that. So for me, that's more of an economic point of view. That is definitely a personal choice, though. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to, I think, social, I think, perspectives. um, and how my topic connects to, I think, society. Again, that includes culture, identity, community, and you have these questions to consider if you're stuck on, I think, like what things you want to, I think, ask. So, for example, I could ask, what religious or moral beliefs do different communities have about this topic? And I know that people in the Korean American community can be incredibly religious. The majority of, I think, Korean Americans are actually Christian, at least in Los Angeles. And so I could ask, I think, you know, I think what role does I think sort of Christianity play in, I think, like abuse in the Korean American community? Um, so I think like, does it make it easier? Does it make it harder? Um, and maybe adding on, I could even ask, I think like, yeah, I could even ask, um, I think like whether I think like there are beliefs Korean American people hold about abuse that make it harder for survivors. I know, for example, when I was growing up, a lot of people I think saw abuse as a really shameful thing to talk about, and so people didn't, I think, like always, I think, tell the truth about it, even when it was happening. And so I could even ask, I think, like, how does the Korean American community, I think, treat abuse, I think, survivors? I think, do they support survivors? or do they, I think, make it harder? And I actually don't know the answer to that question, but I could do some more research and find out. All right, so lastly, I'm gonna move on to the political angle. And this one, I think people have told me can be the hardest one. That's totally fine. I think just know that we're here to support you. Um, the big thing I want you to understand is that you're thinking mostly about the government. You're thinking about things like the laws, human rights, policies that exist. Um, a really easy one, if I think you haven't thought of it yet, for every topic could just be, I think, what laws exist about, I think, your topic in the government. So what laws exist about abuse in the government? Is it a crime? I think, are people punished, I think, if they're caught abusing somebody? If so, why or why not? These are all kind of open questions you can ask. Um, Another question I think could be helpful is thinking about whether the law treats people differently depending on their situation. So one thing that you might know is that unfortunately there are a lot of things about, I think, the system that aren't always fair. And for example, I think that depending on your race, depending on your gender, depending on your even your immigration status, the way that I think like the law plays out can be very different sometimes. Um, One thing I'm thinking about actually is I know that there's actually a large number of Korean American folks who are undocumented or do not hold citizenship. So I think that could be something that does play into, I think, the way people ask for help, or I think like the way they're treated by the government. So I could even ask, I think like does immigration status, I think like play a role in how Korean Americans abuse survivors are treated by the law? And maybe the answer is no, and that's also okay. Sometimes I think you have, I think, a prediction, and it's not always true. But the point is that you can always do more research and find out. Okay, so I have my topic and I have my questions, and I have, I think, questions I can actually learn more about from every angle, from an economic angle, from a social angle, and a political angle. And I keep coming back to this idea of every story having more than one side. And I really want to, I think, talk about how important that is. That whether your topic is police violence or the coronavirus, or I think like entertainment or abuse, I think all of these topics have a lot of different, I think, perspectives. And your job as a really smart person is to think about what that issue looks like, looking at it from every point of view you can. All right. So I'm gonna pause the video over here. Thank you for your hard work. Um, for class today, you're gonna do exactly what I just did. You're gonna copy your topic and your research question into that box that is marked yellow, and then you're gonna use the questions to consider to brainstorm at least two questions from each perspective and write them down in the right column. One more thing I'm gonna I think offer is if you want a visual for I think these questions, you can click on that link and that'll take you to I think a little I think like map. For some of you, this might be a more helpful way of seeing the questions I think and how they connect to each other. But if you want to use that, definitely feel free to use that. All right, I'm gonna stop over here. Have a great day, and if you need anything, please reach out for help.